Circana is out with numbers again, and the Sony ponies are pushing Yotei because that's kind of, I guess, what they do every time it shows up on a list that is, I guess, the equivalent of a government heavily redacted list of information. Being 10th place for the year, if you don't count indie games that cost less, Nintendo games digitally, and all these other asterisks that do not apply, you can warp the numbers however you want, which, going back to my conversation with Colin Moriarty, that was all I was really trying to say. I said, people keep parroting this like it's some sort of win, but the list doesn't even include digital sales for Nintendo titles, along with a whole bunch of other missing context that always conveniently gets ignored. Circana's rankings paint a distorted picture every single time, and this, once again, is no exception. The reality is simple. Ghost of Yotei underperformed expectations. 10th best on a chart ignoring Nintendo. Lol. A massive amount of money was left on the table, and Sony knows it. When you take a successful, beloved IP and push it in a direction the fan base never asked for, this is exactly what happens. Being 10th best selling on a flawed chart doesn't magically erase that fact. Behind closed doors, those meetings aren't celebratory. They're damage control. Sony ponies coping hard right now. And this is what is getting pushed out there as a huge win for Sony. Please help me understand this. Battlefield 6, the best selling game of 2025, ignoring everything else, just came out. That's crazy. That's crazy in its own right. But then going down the list to find Ghost of Yotei, people are taking this and running with it like it's some sort of massive win. And I went over to ChatGPT and I said, I asked ChatGPT to visualize, based on available info, a table of sales for games released in 2025. Sony ponies screaming Ghost Yotei is a success for Sony. No, Sony is not happy. They aren't retarded. They know they left millions on the table, veering away from Jin. And this, again, estimated based off of available info, and obviously a fairly flawed look at things. I'm not trying to pretend like this is a hardcore factual data, but based off of available information of sales from games, it paints a picture of, well, yeah, Ghost Yotei shows up. There it is, all the way at the bottom. If you look all the way over there on the right, you can see it there. So yeah, it's among these other games, but relative sales wise, no, it's not even close to the ones that it's being compared against, which is, again, all I was trying to say with the Circana numbers. People run with this like it's some sort of massive own that's doing well. Bro is coping with the fact Ghost Yotei was a major success, confirmed by Sony themselves. Guys, what's Sony going to say on their conference call for a game that sells over 3 million units? Of course they're going to say it was a success. Of course they are. Any game that has a low budget and sells over 3 million copies in the first month of sales or so, yes, that is a massive success for any studio ever, if you remove the context of what it could have been, which again goes to what I've been saying from day one with this. They want to forget about the other half of the equation, what this could have been. So Sony's running with it like, oh yeah, it's a victory, it's a win, because please keep buying this. Please, everyone, just believe us. Just believe us. And Colin Moriarty, of course, had to try to run with this as a victory. With 31 days of sales counted, Ghost of Yotei now slots in as the 10th best-selling game of the year in the United States. No, it doesn't. This is what I was trying to say in my conversation with Colin, where he's knowingly being disingenuous with the information, because it is not the 10th best-selling game, because this does not include digital sales from Nintendo. It does not include digital sales from Nintendo and Xbox platforms. It does not include how many games or copies of games sold from indie developers, because the game costs a lot more. So it shows up on here. It's so flawed. It's not even funny. It's actually the only use of this chart is to be able to poke fun at it and laugh at it, and to laugh at the people like Colin Moriarty who run with this as some sort of own. I can only imagine the devastating meetings that are happening behind closed doors at Sony as they strategize to manage such an unprecedented sales flop. No, this again, God, how many times? How many times do I have to do this? It sold well. It sold terribly relative to what Tsushima 2 would have sold. And miss me with that, you don't know what Tsushima 2 would have sold. Yeah, I know what Tsushima 1 sold, and I know the trajectory of Tsushima 1, and the sentiment surrounding that game was far more positive than the extreme negativity that we're dealing with Yotei right now. No one to blame but themselves with it. And this was, again, a victory lap going across the internet today. Porter Rock 77, poor Yotei haters. You keep taking L's. You should have bent the knee last month. Yotei is now the 10th best-selling game of the year. No, it's not. Again, same conversation I had with Colin, where Colin's like, yeah, but it has the asterisks where they say they don't have Nintendo's digital sales. This is the gold standard. Circana is the gold standard. I don't give a shit what it is, bro. It's not 10th best-selling game. It's 10th best-selling game if you remove all these other games that should be above it and ahead of it. Plus, it doesn't say how much it's made. It doesn't say how many it's sold. It just says this is a place it's at, which, again, I point people back to this chart that I made. In context, sure, it makes the list, but I added in Donkey Kong Bonanza with the known sales, Pokemon Legends with the known sales, Mario Kart World with the known sales, which, granted, these known sales are probably much higher. Pokemon Legends is probably much higher than 8 million at this point. Donkey Kong Bonanza is probably much higher than 3.7 million at this point. I was being as fair as I could putting this chart together. And look at it. Don't try to tell me that this is a huge win for Sony. This is terrible. The attachment rate with Sony PlayStation 5s buying this game has been awful. Yotei is now the 10th best-selling game of the year. Well, I just named like 14 games ahead of it, but okay. And it's only been out since October 2nd. Battlefield's only been out for 2 weeks, and it's already above it. What's that supposed to mean? Just 1 month of sales. It's also the third best-selling game of the year on PlayStation. Again, PlayStation's had a shitty year. What does that even mean? And of course, Matt Piscatella. Content. Ghost of Yotei was October's number 3 best-selling game overall and currently ranks 10th for the 2025 year-to-date period. Ghost of Yotei is third on the PlayStation year-to-date best-selling titles chart behind NBA 2K26 and Battlefield 6. Missing a lot of context. It's not cope. This is reality. And again, I stand by. Any other game selling like this would be considered a win. You could even argue a huge win. This game for Sony, it's like you're getting half the amount of money that you could have had. If you go to, I don't know, sell something to someone, say you're selling a house to someone and you need to move out and you have someone buying your house for $1 million and the house is worth more than that, but you're like, I'll sell it for $1 million. And then 2 days after that, someone comes in, oh, I'll pay you 1.5 million for it. Be like, no, I already sold it. You left money on the table because you rushed something out, because you did something that you shouldn't have done. In this situation, that's how Sony's going to be feeling. It's like they left all this money on the table where they could have made more, but they didn't. Doesn't stop the Sony ponies, though. They're still going. Genki. Ghost of Yotei was the number 3 best-selling game in the US for October behind Battlefield 6 and Pokemon Legends. Yeah, okay, so now we're having different games. It's funny how they manipulate it based off the chart and where it goes. Number 10 best-selling game in the US in 2025 so far. No, it's not. Where's your asterisk? Where are the Nintendo games? Do you mean physical only? What do you mean? People just take the headline number and run with it. Again, what I was trying to tell Colin, that is not what this game is selling. It's not. And even if it was, Sony still can't be happy with it. But it's not even doing that, Abby. Circana US October 2025 monthly sales. Battlefield 6 debuts the best-selling game of the month and entire year, which is crazy, by the way. Tells you how much it sold. Also, the highest single-month dollar sales of any game in the last 3 years, last being COD Modern Warfare 2, and fastest-selling Battlefield ever. Ghost of Yotei boycott flopped, lol. It's the number 3 best-selling of the month. and already number 3 best-selling game of the year on PlayStation. Again, of the month, if you don't include Nintendo titles, which you could argue is 1/3 of the major game companies out there, and if you don't count the indie titles that are selling more of them just for less money, like, yeah, I guess if you go through all that, on PS, only Battlefield 6 and NBA 2K 2026 are ahead for this year, but the latter had extra months of sales. Not Battlefield 6, though. Pokemon ZA's number 2 best-selling of the month, also the best-selling game on Nintendo and the best-selling physical game of the year. And they don't even have the digital information on it. So think about how much it sold. Outer Worlds 2 debuts at number 7. That is a massive flop. Little Nightmares 3, number 8. Ninja Gaiden 4, number 11. Man, that's brutal for Ninja Gaiden 4. Interestingly, indie game Little Nightmares 3 debuts ahead of AAA game Outer Worlds 2 and Ninja Gaiden 4, both on PlayStation and Xbox, with PC sales of Outer Worlds 2 making the difference. So, again, people just running with this information, pushing it out there like it's the gospel truth. Noir says, Ghost of Yotei is the 10th best-selling game in the US. Ghost of Tsushima, here we go, was the 7th best-selling game in the US in 2020, a year with a lot more fierce AAA competition. Boycotts work. P.S. Look how well AC Valhalla did. Where is Shadows? A great point. Look at Valhalla was number 5. Wow. How the mighty have fallen. It's just funny, the fun with numbers that people do. Here's friend of the channel, Jay Viper, who says, people are done buying Ghost of Yotei as it slips to 15th best seller on PlayStation 5. Oof. Oof. Being surpassed now by Grand Theft Auto 5 and a whole bunch of free-to-play games, by the way. Think about that. Where the winds meet, that is crushing it right now. Marvel Rivals, Fortnite, man. And even Minecraft surpassed it. Holy crap. That is definitely something. And we'll leave it at this because I think this was pretty telling of how people deal with this situation. Paul Tassi, the journalist for Forbes magazine, has me blocked and loves to try to dunk on me every chance he gets and always fails at it. And once again, tried to dunk on me today. He screenshot this X-Vault Gaming with the facepalm on this Oyendi guy. And he says, the dumbest people on earth. And Oyendi says, to those that claim this game was a hit, when have you seen a hit game being in a Plus subscription after just a few weeks? And tags me. And I'm like, this is what's frustrating. Ghost of Yotei is not on PS Plus. This dude clearly misread what PlayStation was saying about how Ghost of Yotei New Game Plus launches on November 24th. And they probably thought, oh, it means it's coming to PlayStation Plus instead of, no, it's just updating it with New Game Plus as an update with the game. But they tagged me. Paul Tassi screenshots this, and then people start dunking on me in the replies of Paul Tassi, being like, yeah, Smash JT's an idiot. Yeah, this guy, these are the people that represent him. I'm like, the fuck they do? I can't stop an idiot from tagging me. Like, what the hell does this have to do with me? I said, now people tagging me in comments like I endorse what anyone says as long as they tag me? Unblock me, Paul, you pussy. Roy says, but Yotei isn't even in any tier on PlayStation Plus. The guy who tagged you is wrong. And I go, that's my point. Understandable. I can't read. Paul should unblock you, though. Blocking is kind of lame. Justin, I still remember that pussy blocking me because I wouldn't address an aggressive troon by their wrong pronouns. You will call her a her or you'll be blocked. No, I won't. That's a man. Block me then. Blocked. Kyle, afraid I love Paul Tassi filling his mouth with the tick when a more triggered homo game journalist you won't find. You should remind the cancer what their purpose is. Paul Tassi will warn you right now that shortly after Dragon Age is probably going to produce the most annoying discourse of the year with those guys regarding a particular quest line. Stellar Blade is, again, another Paul Tassi article. Stellar Blade is now the highest user score PS5 game ever, which is a bit excessive. Is it, Paul? The game's amazing. You just don't like beautiful women, Paul? The first descendant, Summer Viesa, is the final shape for the sexy costumes crowd. There is nothing left, just nudity, just a naked chick walking around with guns. Mission accomplished. Obviously, sarcasm. New policy is every single woke DEI modern audience sweet baby person that shows up gets blocked, no questions asked. I'm exhausted. This is Paul Tassi, the guy that's trying to champion Ghost of Yotei right now. I just think it's funny. We got Colin Moriarty's, we got Paul Tassi's, plenty of other journos in the gaming sphere that are trying to champion what this Matt Piscatella is pushing right now. And all the NPCs just running with the information without checking any of it, without questioning anything, without looking at the actual facts and stats of additional games. I don't know, like Nintendo, or amount of sales from those games that are ahead of it. It's so skewed. It's so easily manipulated. This was my frustration with the conversation, which is why I spoke with Colin Moriarty in the first place. This is what I was trying to explain and have explained like 12 times since then. Again, I'm at the point right now where people just don't want to listen. They just want to sunken cost fallacy, believe the lies that they've been told because they don't like me and they'd rather be wrong and be ignorant to the truth than deal with what I'm telling them, which actually is probably the saddest part of all of this. And with that, I'll leave that there.